Hello, and welcome to my Lunch and Learn, where I explore topics to help you elevate your mindset, be at your best, and radically expand your life and business. And with September around the corner, a lot of people are going to be going through many changes. Summer is winding down. Kids are going back to school. Even if you don't have kids, there's just a different energy that happens as September rolls around. There's a renewed sense of commitment and regularity. And for so many, the fall is a very productive time of year. Now, even with change, even good change, there is disruption. And change, if you're not really prepared for that disruption, it can leave you feeling overwhelmed, disoriented, and just really uncomfortable, which is why I want to have this conversation with you now. So you can start mentally preparing, so you can start physically preparing, so you can start putting some steps in place to have a smooth transition into the fall, if that's one of your transitions, or if you're watching this at any time that you have other changes coming, you will actually have some steps to be more resourceful. So if you are a professional woman that is going through change, maybe, like I said, kids going back to school, maybe you're moving into a new home, perhaps your relationship status has changed, or your work status has changed. Maybe you're embarking on a new opportunity, or you're leaving another opportunity. Anything of that sort, this is for you. And so I want to show you that you can move into and out of change with grace, with authenticity, with resilience, instead of attempting to avoid the change or resent the change and just feel icky and bad about it. You can truly move through it with more comfort when you actually have the tools. So I know some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Larissa McCooch, author of Stop Procrastinating Your Life Away and Master Results Coach, CEO of Abundance Academy, where we work with professional women who are already successful, yet holding themselves back from what they're truly capable of. There's that one thing that you're like, yeah, I'm ready for more. And we help women manifest their secret desires and radically expand their lives and businesses. So I would love to know where you're coming in from. So pop that in the chat. If you're tuning in by replay, type in replay in the chat. And if it's your first time, let us know, because my team and I want to thank you for being here. And I truly do appreciate your presence. So one of the things that I think is done really well in the world of business is this idea of change management. It's not executed flawlessly. However, there are definitely schools of thought and philosophies and tools and resources that have been put together for change management protocols, especially in big corporations. I think that the thinking time that they've put into this is really remarkable, because when you think of a change, especially a big change or a complex change, the bigger the change, the more resistance that can come with it. There's so many more energies. And when it comes to you navigating change, if you almost think of your life as a business, if you almost think of your family as a business or an entity in and of itself, and start really applying some of these tools and philosophies, it can be really, truly helpful. So this is the thinking hat I put on when preparing this talk, because I think it could be so helpful to many, instead of just saying, oh, change is happening, it's going to be hard, let's go. So let's just look at some definitions before we dive in. The word transition. This is a period or a process of change where you're shifting from one state to another. An ice cube, when it has heat applied, it transitions from an ice cube to a liquid. When more heat is applied, it transitions to a gas. It's still the same substance, however, it changes form. And so often we are still the same substance, we are still the same person. And as we encounter new people, as we encounter new opportunities, aspects of us that are expressed start to shift and start to transition. So we may start to adapt how we actually show up in one place versus another. Another definition I want you to think about is change. Change is when you make someone or something different. You alter or modify something. Maybe you're replacing something with something else. And ideally, it's something that is the same quality or even better. Let's aim for even better. The same or better, because when we are changing, we want to change for the better. And sometimes it might feel like you're pulling a slingshot back before you fly forward. There might be a little bit of tension that you put on yourself and your life for a temporary period of time. But when you truly know where you're going, it's going to make a world of difference. And the word navigate, because we're talking about navigating transitions and change, this is about planning and directing your route or course. If you think of an aircraft or a ship, you know where you are and where you're going. The tools for navigation get you from point A to point B. It's essentially the map. And often when you're on an adventure or en route, there might be difficult situations or certain circumstances you must encounter. And the same goes with life. So when you're navigating change and transition, there are things that are moving in your world. There are things that are shifting in your world. And you are the person that essentially plans the course of that. Now, what you need to know is you are a living being. No matter how still you get and how much you meditate, you will always be moving at some level, because this works with the law of vibration. The law of vibration states everything is in motion. There's little vibratory frequencies all over. And so you and your life will always be in some state of flux at some level. You're also a creature of habit. Okay, so you are born and designed to be a creature of habit. And physiologically, you are designed to resist change. There's a part of the brain it's a really tiny part called the amygdala, and it perceives change as danger. And whenever something new comes up, especially something new that you've never done before, it goes, danger, danger, danger. And it puts the guard up. It gets you to get into that fight or flight or freeze mode. And you might start to get fearful because hormones are actually released. So it perceives any kind of threat or chaos as danger, whether it's real or imagined. And your unconscious mind actually can't tell the difference between what's real and imagined. So let's say if you've ever been uncomfortable with making a decision or taking a transition, it's totally normal. Don't feel like something's wrong with you. However, it doesn't have to debilitate you, and you shouldn't use it as an excuse not to move ahead, because there are so many perceived threats that come your way. They're not even real, and you can overcome them. So often things like an uncomfortable conversation can be perceived as a threat. It's not going to make or break you. It's just an uncomfortable conversation. Maybe sending a certain email. Or I was on a call yesterday where there was a woman, and she lives a fairly private life, but she wants to build a new type of business. And someone suggested that she go live on social media. And she goes, oh, like just the vulnerability she felt in having to project herself, that felt like danger to her. That was her initial response. She knew logically it made sense. She had to get her message out there. However, it was so scary because she'd never done it before. And so I just want you to understand, before I give you the steps to navigate change, I just want you to understand what's happening, because awareness truly is power. When you comprehend or understand what's happening, you can start taking that fear down, because you get what's happening beyond, easy for her to say, behind the surface. So what are some common reasons that you may resist change? Well, first, you lack awareness. You don't even know what's possible or what could be. And I think I see this so often in women, because we were conditioned to dream as children, but after 5 or 6 years old, we're taught to work, to follow rules. And the ability for us to just daydream and really think about what we want instead of do what our parents want, do what our husbands want, do what the workplace wants, do what society expects of us, is it's not there. And so I find a lot of women, they have a certain level of clarity, but we rarely take the time to really think about what we want on the inside, where we tune into our hearts, our minds, our bodies, and souls. And when you don't even know that that's a possibility, and you don't know the possibilities of what could be with any potential change you're considering, it's so important that you start taking the lid off and thinking about why you want this change. What is possible with this particular change? And the more you increase your awareness, and the more you go out and search, sometimes you actually have to do a little bit of work, the more powerful you'll be. So That's a really common reason people resist change. They're like, well, I don't want to try it because I don't know what's going to happen if I do. I don't want to try it because I don't really know anyone that's done it before. Okay. And it gets scary. So another common reason people resist change is you're attached to the way it is. You're comfortably uncomfortable. You're like, well, why would I change it? It's fine. It's fine. It may not be bad. However, there's safety and predictability in where you're at. You have a comfortably uncomfortable life. You get paid a certain amount of money. You do certain things. You have certain friends. You do certain activities, and it's comfortably uncomfortable. Yet at the end of the day, you're not fulfilled. However, because you're so attached to the way it is and you know how it works, it's predictable, you end up coasting, and that doesn't feel good. However, until you're willing to overcome that and realize it may not feel comfortable, nothing's going to change. Another reason people resist change is you're just too busy. Like, there is so much going on in the world day by day. These cell phones, they have done some miraculous things for us, and they've also created a lot of busyness and a lot of immediacy. There's a lot happening, and for a lot of us, you can't see the forest through the trees. One of the things we started doing in our Abundance Academy is calming down to speed up. So we actually meet every single day for an hour, a magical power hour, a morning miracle hour, to start the day on the right foot. It sounds like a lot of time for some people, but when you invest that time, you actually save time. You prioritize better. You have the ability to take courageous action, and you don't stuff your life full of things that are meaningless. So it's that opportunity to calm down so you can speed up. So you don't have to be busy in your day to day. You might still have a lot of activity, but it's purposeful activity that's aligned with your desires and who you are. And then the last thing I wanted to point out is the examples around you. One reason people resist change is the examples around you, they just encourage the status quo. The people you see, what is on TV, what's acceptable in your city, what's acceptable in your community, it's what you see and what you expect is appropriate. People are so used to following the crowd, yet it's truly important for you to think for yourself. People want to be accepted. However, it's those that have the courage to dream, and then even more courage to go after their dreams, that get truly rewarded. And so I just want to give you an example, and this might not be your example. You'll have a different scenario, but this is just something that has recently come up in our world. So let's say you have a dream to take your business global, and you've been local, you've been really successful locally, but you want to expand and go beyond your territory, but you don't know where to start because you don't even know the questions to ask. You don't know anyone that's done it. You make a lot of assumptions about what's required. And those in your peer group, they're successful, but they're either employed or they have locally run service-based businesses just like you. So they're successful, but they're not really dreamers. They're comfortably uncomfortable just like you. And they like that security, and they see you and your life is pretty good. And so you might mention something to someone and they're like, well, why would you want to try that? That's a lot of work. There's a lot of challenges that might come your way. You don't know how to do it. And all of a sudden you shut down your dream. You might have a lot on your plate at this current time. However, if you follow the crowd, if you don't listen to those whispers, if you don't even explore the possibilities of what could be, you're going to probably, right at this point, start thinking about your next year. And as you plan your next year, you'll increase your revenue goal by 10 or 12% if it's a stretch, and just keep going along the same trajectory that you've been going on for the last 10 years. And saying life is nice and leaving it at that, but there's no fulfillment. And so when it comes to making change, okay, so any kind of change, here are some steps I want you to take so that you can make an informed decision, so you can set yourself up for a successful transition and change. Like I said, whether it's taking a business global or having the kids go back to school or moving your home location or making a shift in your relationship status, anything. So first and foremost, I want you to explore the why. Really make the case and dig into this desire. Why do you even want to make this change? Why is it important to you? What are all the potential benefits that could come along with this change? And then ask yourself, why else do I want this? Why else do I want this? Like really elicit all the reasons out of you. The second, do some homework. What have others experienced that have gone through similar changes? What did they do well that you might want to model, and what might they have wanted to do differently so that you can be aware of these things and put those plans in place? What are some key considerations that they would recommend? Okay, so go out, do some research, do some homework. Google is fabulous for this. You can literally type anything into Google, and within a page or two of Google, exploring articles or videos, you can have so many answers. You can go talk to live people in your world. You can go into Facebook groups and see if you can connect with other people that are of similar nature or have gone through similar things. There's so many opportunities out there, especially with the internet. So do a little bit of homework. Then third, look out for the roadblocks. What are some of the concerns that you have? What else might come up that you didn't expect? What might you need to consider to make a successful transition? Maybe considering your current life, your current circumstance, your current family dynamic, your current level of income. What are some personal and professional considerations that you have? If you have like a team that you're supporting, and maybe you're looking at adding something to your company, how are you going to keep things stable as you invite this new change in? Okay. So how could you potentially manage and prepare for these changes? So look for roadblocks and really start thinking through, like, how could I manage these roadblocks? You don't even need all the answers, but in just asking yourself the questions and going through these exercises, if totally different circumstances come up, you will be 100 times more prepared to deal with them, because you've at least taken the time to think things through critically and think things through from a place of being in solution mode. Okay. Next, you want to consider the timing. Sometimes now is the time for change. Sometimes now you have to change immediately, but other times you might be able to put the change off. So I had a project that was suggested to me. It's something I had thought about, and then someone made the recommendation probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it was going to be so fabulous for our community. And I loved it. And my gut impulse was, oh, I totally want to do this, but really now is not the right time. However, I didn't listen to my gut impulse. And I said, okay, I'm going to run with this. It makes sense. It's logical. And so I started pursuing this project. I did half a day of recording. And all of a sudden, nothing worked. It didn't record properly. And I was a little crushed at first. However, I know that everything happens for a reason. And so I looked back at it and I said, okay, am I going to redo this project? Am I going to redo this work? Or was my initial gut response that I conveniently ignored at the time something that said, now it's not a right now project. Great idea. Totally going to do it. Now is not the right time. So I decided it's a not right now project. It didn't have to be done. We are going to do it in the future. You guys are going to love it. However, it was not a right now project. So think about the timing of things. Also, last but not least, think about who you want and need on your team. Is this a change that can be done alone? Or if it's a more complex change, who do you need to work with for a successful change and transition? What help do you need? How specifically can they help you? And how are you going to actually communicate with them? What's your mode of conversation and communication so everyone's on the same page? Essentially, those that develop and have the greatest capacity for change, they come out on top. Why? Because they're willing to move and change and course correct as required. Guaranteed, you will have changes come up and you will need to move forward. But if you stall and you turn into a deer in headlights every time changes come up, you're not going to move yourself forward. You're not going to move your community, your team, your friends, your family forward. And the better you develop these skills to navigate changes in your own life, whether it's personal or business, really think of yourself as the CEO of your own life. Start thinking of your own life as a business unto itself. While tuning into your heart, if you let your heart lead you and put some strategies and put some really good questions in place, it'll help you move forward in a better direction with more elegance and grace, especially when things come up. So Remember, the world is always changing. You get to change along with it. It's so, so true. So if you're a high achieving woman that's looking to clarify her goals and dreams, if you want to elevate your routines and your practices to be more effective, to be more resilient, if you might want accountability or a community to support you along the way en route to your dreams and desires, and you want to start pursuing those passions and desires every day, I would love, love, love to offer you a free consultation. There's no pressure, no hard sell, just a quick call to determine if working together actually makes sense. This is what we do at the Abundance Academy, is we help women navigate change. So just mention consult in the chat below and my team will get you set up for a call. And that's all you need to do. Just mention consult in the chat. So again, you always get the opportunity to change in your life. Remember that you don't need to get stuck in not knowing the possibilities or staying stuck in the way it's been and being comfortably uncomfortable. You don't need to be trapped in busy mode. You don't need to follow the crowd instead of your heart, but you can realize why you actually want to make these changes. Because if God planted that seed of change inside you, it was for a reason, because you can actually fulfill it. You can go find other successful examples out there. You can start anticipating roadblocks and begin to think through how to curb them. Consider the timing, find the right people to work with, and do it well, right? Absolutely. So if this is something that's resonating with you, if you're looking for more support for the changes in your life, let's have a consultation. Like I said, absolutely free. Mention consult in the chat, and we'll have a beautiful, beautiful conversation. So thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next time, and I'll be back again very soon with a love.